All right, it looks like we're live. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are around the world. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Vernon Decker from the USSA. Keys Abend, keep on stacking. 15% of my assets are gold now. I think there'll be a lot more soon in terms of percentage. Not maybe because you're going to switch into it, but because I think it's going to become more valuable. Steve Maxwell says, hi, Mario Billy, Grow Mechanic. I'm not too far away from it. Let's see. Let's put it a little closer. Hear me great, so just leave it there then. Hi, Bella. Urban Sombreros here. Belly Dance Arabia. Rintin Tin. Yeah, I'm always early, Rintin Tin. I'm about 10. I come on about 10 minutes early and chat and see who's here. And then we start talking. It's really more than just an hour. Mena Maranatha. Hi, Mena. Sound is good. Cheers from Southern California, SoCal Silver. Billy, Ukrainian? No, Billy was born and bred in England, even though he's got South. I think, yeah, the Shih Tzus are originally from Nepal. So his ancestors are from Asia. Hi, Lord Humongous. Isabella from Austria. Doozy Big. World Economic Forum has exposed itself to world. Great show, sir, says, let's see, Wayne Burbrink. Thank you. Dave from Kitchener, Ohio. Hi, Dave. Rafi Farber is going to be joining us at the top of the hour. So he's coming on as well. Monaco, did you play any future golf pros when you were in junior golf? Actually, I played in the same tournament in Switzerland in my 20s, amateur tournament. And Robert Allenby from Australia, he was playing in that tournament. So yeah, I have played with some good golfers that became pro. And I think Robert Allenby, I met him in Switzerland, and in the final round, I shot 74. He actually had a bad round. He shot 81. And then a couple of years later, I saw him win the Australian Open. And I said, wow, I met that guy. We went out for a beer and everything. Anyway, No. Hi, Mario and Billy. Sorry for missing the last couple of live streams. Busy at work. No problem, No. Carlos Garcia. There's a lot of you on tonight. Yes, the title of the live stream is the West, Russia's shut out of the petrodollar. And some of you, I saw a comment saying they're still selling oil and gas in dollars. Yes, maybe so, but I think this is war, financial war here, and I think the Russians could cut off the supply of oil and gas eventually, or they could say, we don't want dollars anymore for oil and gas. We want renminbi or gold. So it could get really interesting. I have a feeling that things are really going to kick off in the markets. I can't say exactly what's going to happen, but we're going into a black hole, so to speak. I've never seen the world so unhinged. And yes, it could be all theater. It could be the powers that be behind the scenes. They're negotiating cards for the new system. They have to make it seem like it's a crisis, and it will be. So I don't know. Miles, thank you for your super chat. How about a Q&A with Lobo Tigre, Taviconza, Rafi Farber, and Roni Stofele? Yeah, I've had Tavi Costa a couple of times on the channel. Lobo Tigre, I know him. Ronnie Stoffle, I have contacted him before, but he never really took me up on my offer, but I can try again. Raymondo, hi Raymondo. Orlando, thank you for your super chat. Is it possible that Putin is in fact a globalist and his actions on Ukraine is to beat up the Great Reset? Anything is possible, and but whatever happens, hopefully I've been able to help a few people in the last few years to get prepared for this. I mean, some people, I thought, oh, well, maybe I should do the live stream later so we can see how the markets open, but it doesn't really matter how the markets open and what they do, because I think I don't really care. I'll go to bed and then get up tomorrow morning and see where things are. And I think it's going to get really, really wild. Tim Gibson, thank you for your super chat. Platinum, yeah, I have been looking about what Russia exports. Platinum, I think they've got about 20% of the world supply. Russia, South Africa is the biggest producer, but I think they're the biggest palladium exporter. They also produce about 8% of the silver supply. They are the second biggest producer of gold as well. And we're going to come to that in a minute as well. Their central bank has announced something about gold today. Hi, Connor Monry. How are you? Decarian says Schwab also mentioned Putin as a young leader. Yeah, it looks like the World Economic Forum has got everyone on their boat. Raymondo, I'm mostly out of bank and still stacking with physical and glint. 40% of palladium exports, even and wheat and what's the other one? Corn are very important in terms of Ukraine and Russia. And also titanium. Apparently there's a valley in Siberia called Titanium Valley, and titanium is very important. Canadian Gal, hi Canadian Gal. If I miss some of your comments and questions, I'm sorry, it's just there's a lot of you. Hi Ben Gray, nice to see you. Jody thinks silver will dump 100% on the open. We'll see. I mean, what I found interesting at Friday night, London time, silver had been going down all day, and usually when that happens, it closes right on the low because the bankers keep smacking it. But silver actually turned around and finished up on the day, which I thought was interesting. So I'm not so sure. We'll have to wait and see. T4 parts. Mario, did you see the video of Neil McCoy of his 3 bank accounts canceled and taken his cash? No, I haven't. I don't really watch Neil McCoy. I think it's Neil McCoy Ward. I haven't watched him. Is that in the UK or in Canada? Joker Alpha, when you say wild market tomorrow, do you mean a massive drop in NASDAQ? I think maybe the stock markets to drop a lot, but what I mean more is a lot of volatility because we're seeing so many news, so many sanctions, so many announcements. It could be crazy, really, the markets. I just saw Ursula von der Leyen, the German president of the EU Commission or EU Parliament, whatever she's a president of. They've just banned RT from the EU. So it's hotting up. Maybe it is all theater, but they've banned them nevertheless. John Groover, thank you for your super chat. What happened to the shareholders of mining companies in Weimar, Germany? I think they probably did quite well, but I haven't looked into it. Rafi's here, so I'm just admitting him. Rafi's coming online. Von der Leyen, she is Dutch, not German. No, von der Leyen, not von der Leyen. She's a German. She's German. Hi, Rafi.
Hi.
How are you?
Just getting this set up here.
It's okay. John Mark Frost, thank you for your super chat. Should I move on to fixed energy tariff? I think my wife and I moved last year because I could see this coming. It might be too late. Who knows? You should check out. I don't know. I just wanted to show you, I'm going to share here. Let's see. Where is it?
Getting a new computer tomorrow, so I only have my phone.
Oh, okay. Let me just okay, this is what I wanted to share. This guy here, Edward Dowd, some of you might have heard about him. He's been looking into all the COVID, the insurance companies and the deaths. And he thinks, for example, Moderna stock is going to zero. And this is what he just tweeted 41 minutes ago to all the pundits saying Biden is an incompetent puppet. The correct question should be, is this by design then? No one is this incompetent, messing with the swift dollar plumbing in an intentional way to wreck chaos writ large globally. So what do you say about that, Rafi? What do you think about that statement?
When I try to figure out what is actually going on, my mind overloads, and I take the Eastern Buddhist approach where I'm more comfortable not knowing than knowing. And
Yeah. I agree with you.
I just try not to think about it.
I agree with you, but I think havoc in the financial markets and financial system could occur. I think. Do you remember last year when the silver squeeze movement started? It was on a Sunday, like I think it was the 31st of January to the 1st of February. There's a lot of excitement. You could feel the energy. And I think this is one of those days, and it could be a lot more than just the silver squeeze, not saying silver is going up, but I've never seen something like this in the, since I've been alive and following markets and stuff. It could be, I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty. What do you think? How do you think the markets are going to react tomorrow? Stock markets, the commodities, and so on.
The truth is, the only thing I know for sure is that the ruble is going to tank.
Yeah.
To the dollar. And I mean, and I don't know if Putin really understands that he can make the ruble convertible to gold tomorrow. He could.
Yeah.
I mean, it would require serious. It would require a severe recession in Russia.
Yeah.
Because just like everyone, they're addicted to money printing as much as anyone else. But their economy wouldn't collapse like it would in the U.S. if the U.S. went on a gold.
Yeah, they don't have so much debt. So this is what this has come out 2 hours ago in the Wall Street Journal, and it says Russia's central bank responds to cash crunch. I'm not going to read through the whole story. See, there are people queuing up, but an interesting thing they put right at the end, almost like they don't want people to read it. And I'm going to zoom into it. Separately, the Bank of Russia added that it would resume buying gold on the domestic precious metals market starting Monday. So I think that's significant because they've been selling their gold that they mine, and they're the second biggest gold miner after China, to the international market. And I suspect they're going to stop that. and this could be what you're talking about, making the ruble convertible. And what do you think? This looks like an interesting comment.
I mean, if they're going to be buying gold from the domestic production, that just that just means that they're going to be, like, I guess, siphoning Russia's own gold for itself to support the ruble.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
what usually happens in these, and that means at least Russia understands something. I mean, at least Elvira Nabiulina understands something, and she seems to be an impressive person. I haven't looked into her economics fully, and
yeah,
she definitely has Keynesian flavors. I mean, she's not an Austrian economist or anything, but she seems to be one of those Keynesians that still hasn't completely ignored common sense. So usually when a currency is under attack, a central bank will sell gold to try to support the exchange rate. And
yeah,
the fact that Russia signals it's going to be buying at least knows that it shouldn't be doing that. So what they end up doing, are they going to make it convertible? That would be a nuclear
yeah,
option against the dollar. I don't know if
yeah.
they're going to do that tomorrow, but if they do, it's a new world.
Yeah, and this I spoke about this in January. I made a video about it, and this story here: Duma deputy chair insists gold-backed stable coins and crypto mining be allowed in Russia to circumvent sanctions. This is from January 24th, 2022. So I thought that was quite interesting as well. And this is how they've decreased their dollar holdings over the years and increased their gold holdings. So yeah, I think they're okay with cryptocurrencies as long as the state controls it and they could make it backed by gold. So
Yeah.
I thought that kind of maybe he knew something back then already. Who knows?
Well, Putin seems to me to be at least a rational state actor. I mean, the Europeans and the U.S., they seem so out of reality that I don't even know what they're going to do or what they're even thinking.
Yeah.
But Putin, I can understand as like a greedy, standard kind of evil guy,
Hmm.
who at least I can understand what he's trying to do, and that he wants to increase his capital instead of decrease it. I mean, okay, so
Yeah.
yeah, that's comforting in its own way. I'm not saying
Yeah.
I like Putin or anything, certainly
Yeah.
not, and I want him as far away from me as possible.
Yeah, I
But
don't like any politicians. Uh, but like you said, out of all the world politicians and leaders, he seems to be the most
rational, at least.
rational and forceful as well. Uh, John Bethia, why does England keep Australia's gold? Well, it's not really England that keeps it, it's the Bank of England. And I think Australia leaves it there. The RBA on purpose I think is about 80 tons. And the reason they do it is because they're part of the club. And the club is the central banking club. And London is the center for it. And they use that gold to lease it out to control the price. And that's why Australia keeps it in England at the Bank of England. Maybe they think it's safer there than having it in Australia because it's closer to China. Who knows? I guess the last time England was invaded was in 1066. So it's got a good track record of staying fairly safe. So what do you think, Rafi? Why do you think the RBA keep their gold with the Bank of England?
Whereas wasn't it there when they when Australia was officially an English colony?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think there used to be the mint, the Perth Mint used to be like a royal mint, so to speak. They used to mint their own sovereigns as well. So I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. Look at some questions. Can you see the scrolling, the questions or not?
No.
No, I don't know how. Let's share it so maybe you can see it as well. Can you see it now?
Yes, but
Yeah.
since I'm on my phone here, the words are so tiny, I can't really.
All right. So I'll try to read some questions. Um, Bingo Wings, do you think this is all a cover for the incoming collapse? Blame the Russians, even
Oh,
the NATO are threatening Russia with weapons pointing at
okay.
Moscow. What do you think, Rafi?
Sorry, my wife just gave me her phone, so I can follow along
Yeah.
with the commentary.
Oh, can you? Okay, let's
Yeah.
share it again.
Yeah.
Can you see it now?
Yeah. No. I can see it on her phone. You don't have to share it here. I can see it.
Oh, okay. Stop share then. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, we spoke about that earlier, didn't we? It's like really difficult to know whether this is by design or not. I think what we know is that there's going to be a lot of mayhem in the markets, and I think that's gold and silver, and also commodities, because disrupting the Russian economy and the Russian exports, I think is going to be explosive for commodity prices. What do you think?
Um, it the truth is, I don't know what's going to happen in the next few days.
I
Yeah,
don't either. Yeah.
eventually, yes, it's going to be explosive for commodity prices. But tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, we could see a dump. We could see. I mean, there's all these positions on the futures markets of people that were expecting this. Maybe they stocked positions, and maybe they could get squeezed out. You could see the opposite of what you expect tomorrow and Tuesday. It could be crazy in both directions, and eventually it's going to be explosive for commodities because this is going to disrupt world trade, and Russia's a humongous oil producer. I
Yeah.
think they produce more than OPEC, so that
Yeah,
the
I think
price of oil is going to head higher.
they're number two in oil, and the U.S. actually is number one, but they produce 9 million barrels a day.
Right. So as for what happens tomorrow, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and it shouldn't be indicative of any kind of trend. What happens specifically
No,
tomorrow? It's just
no.
going to be reorganized.
I think at least me, what I'm doing is holding on to what I have, my positions. My view hasn't changed. Miners, commodities, uh, gold and silver, and it's going to get volatile. But yeah, hold on. I would
Yeah.
say that the biggest danger is having a lot of leverage. You can get wiped out in this environment.
Yeah, same thing. Same thing with my subscribers. We bought our extra positions months ago, weeks ago, before any of this happened. Not anticipating anything, but you always buy on the way down and not like you're responding to some news event. Just
Yeah.
have your positions and then let the news carry them wherever they carry them.
Miles, thank you for your super chat. He says government's doing good job distracting from starvation and inflation. I agree. I just saw a tweet saying that the Dutch prime minister said that we have to pay with inflation in order to fight the Russians. So he's already preparing the Dutch people for more inflation. Not that there hasn't been inflation the last year or two. So he's actually said that today. Echo, does Russia need the West? It has huge market in China. Also, where can we get potash fertilizer from now? That's true. Well, you're right. I mean, I think Russia, though, needs Germany and the rest of Europe, but it can adapt. It can sell stuff to China. And I noticed that in the last 2 to 3 weeks, the president of Argentina and then the president of Brazil went to Moscow to meet Putin, which I thought was quite significant. So they're trying to expand their commerce and relations with other countries. Any view on that, Rafi?
Meeting with Putin. Well, I mean, I'll say one other thing about Putin. In contrast to any other world leader, that's against him. Putin comes from a collapsed communist regime. He knows what it he knows where it leads. I think he understands communism more than anybody else.
Yeah. And it's strange that a lot of people still think that, oh, he's a communist, but he's not. I don't think.
No, he's not I don't think he's just a power hungry guy. He's not a communist.
Yeah. How Dean asks, Thank you, Dean, for your super chat. How safe is my money in Lloyd's Bank? Well, first of all, it's not your money because it's a uncollateralized loan. That's how they consider it, unsecured loan to the bank. I guess you have 85,000 protection from the FCSC. It's like the equivalent of the FDIC in the US. So yeah, if you have more than 85,000, it could be in danger. But it's not even a matter of being safe. Your purchasing power in fiat currency, I think, is going to dwindle more and more over the years. And that's why I think it's good to have some gold and some silver as well, if you can, to keep the purchasing power, and you're able also to keep it outside the banking system. And we've seen recently, maybe you want to let you answer this, Rafi, about what's going on in Canada with the money and the banks and the freezing. That's another thing we need to consider, right?
Yeah. I mean, the definition of a fiat of a fiat currency is really a liability of the central bank. So it's really the central bank's property. It's not we've seen how governments can act now. It's basically we have basically a whole world of dictators now, because now that Trudeau has done it, they can all do it if they decide to do it. You know, just because Boris Johnson hasn't decided to seize people's assets yet doesn't mean he won't.
That's right.
I wouldn't say anybody's money is safe anywhere in any bank or any bank safe deposit box. So you keep the minimum in your bank account that you need to pay your bills, and that's it.
That's right. Matthias Van Louveren, thank you for your super chat. If gold would be used again as a neutral reserve asset, in this case, would be revalued a lot higher. Imagine 20,000 per ounce. What do you expect silver will do? Will it catch up? Will this potential or gold silver ratio spike? Let you answer that first, Rafi, and then I'll give my 2 cents.
Yeah, well, so we saw in 2 times where the gold silver ratio jumped back to 15-1, and both were at monetary panics when people didn't know what the status of the dollar was going to be. That was 1919 after World War I, and that was a whole monetary reorganization. And the other was 1980 during the dollar panic of 1980. So whenever there's a monetary panic, gold rises and silver rises to a 15-1 ratio, which is the historical monetary ratio. So it'll go to around there in a true panic, and I expect that to happen again. But once it does, then you know that's when I would get rid of my silver for either gold or property, real estate, or something, because it's not going to go any higher than that, and it's probably not going to stay around there for long, because the paper money, or at least cash, is designed to act as silver, to divide gold up into retail amounts. So eventually trust in paper money will return to some degree, and then once that happens, the monetary ratio will disappear and we'll go back to like 30-40-1. So once we hit 15-1, I'd say sell your silver.
Well, yeah, I kind of agree with you, but I would also add that we might go, who knows, things are changing so much. We could go into a bimetallic system, and a bimetallic system has usually been around 15-1. So yeah, maybe sell your silver for gold and other assets, but maybe think about always keeping a little bit of silver, I would say.
Yeah, well, you don't have to sell all of it, but
Yeah.
you know,
but I agree with you. 15-1 is it could be a target. So you just have to do the maths. Carlos Garcia, what if all countries adopt the US dollarized world, no other fiat to exchange? I think most countries are actually going off the dollar, and you know what has been happening in the last 10-15 years with all the sanctions, and now with SWIFT and Russia, is going to discourage more and more countries to use the dollar, because the dollar is also, it's not just like a weapon, political weapon, and it should be a neutral asset for trade and commerce and payments. It's been used like that, and it's also, they've also abused the the Americans have abused their privilege of issuing the reserve currency up until 1971. At least there was some backing to it. Any view on that, Rafi? I actually think we're going away from the dollar.
Yeah, that's not, people are going away from the dollar. I expect eventually, when there is a dollar implosion, for them to try to back the dollar with the remaining gold reserves of Fort Knox, assuming there are reserves of Fort Knox. I know a lot of people think they aren't there. Maybe they aren't. I don't have a position on that. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming they're there. And if that happens, then we'll go back to a $30,000, $40,000 per ounce. I could very easily see a jump to $35,000 an ounce, and then freezing it there. Then you have an economic collapse, and they say, okay, we're gonna take off 3 zeros from everybody's account. We're back to $35 an ounce, and so long fiat standard, and return to a gold there. That could very easily happen.
Chris Paul says a lot of fear porn here. I'm not sure what he means. We're just talking about the reality. Not sure why it's fear. It's better to be prepared and to know what's going on. And unfortunately, the world is unhinged. What do you say to that comment, Rafi?
Well, that we're spreading fear porn.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Well, I'll say no. I'll say it's very important not to be afraid.
Yeah,
don't be afraid. Be prepared.
Yeah.
And what you need to do to be prepared is have real hard assets, have real money with you, and have some food, have some water. Arm yourself if you can, and just be rational. That's not anything crazy. That just makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, let's see if there's anything I wanted to share more. Oh yeah, I wanted to share this, and I think this is quite significant. Where is it? This is from centralbanking.com, which is a strange website. I think the central bankers must use this, but I found this story from March 2017. Russian central bank opens first overseas office in Beijing. I think that's significant because SWIFT, for example, we've heard that some Russian banks will be cut off from SWIFT, and SWIFT is just a communications network for the major financial institutions in the world to safely conduct transfers between countries. And prior to having SWIFT, people used to do it through telex or through the phone or fax. And what I'm trying to say here is that SWIFT the Russians could say it doesn't matter. We have we have our office in Beijing for the Russian central bank. They could start using their own system, and it's called a corresponding bank. That's how the Knights Templars used to transfer money when people went to the Crusades. They had corresponding people they knew in the Middle East, and they would debit their accounts with them and pay someone. So I think it will be a big problem in the short term for Russia, but I think they will survive through it eventually. Rafi, any comments on this Russian central bank overseas office in Beijing?
Well, if they open a central bank office in Beijing, it probably means they were talking about important stuff there, monetary things.
Yeah, and they knew that something was coming because this was 5 years ago, so they're prepared. So okay, let's stop sharing this. We got a question here, Nisara Gasara. Thank you for your super chat. We appreciate the knowledge. Shout out to Mike at Rethinking the Dollar. I will. Let's see, we've got more questions here. Is China sending fighter jets to probe Taiwan this morning? Have you heard about that, Rafi?
Are they? I haven't heard anything about them.
There's a lot of speculation now that the Chinese are going to go after Taiwan. Who knows? The history of Taiwan is interesting. It was like a safe haven for the Chinese nationalists they lost the civil war to the communists in 1949. I think it was Chiang Kai-shek. He was the leader of the nationalists, and he fled to Formosa. It was called Formosa, a Portuguese name, Taiwan. And apparently he took a lot of the gold with him. But the problem with, I think, for the world, if there is a conflict also in Taiwan, is that I think a lot of the semiconductors and microchips are produced there. Do you know a little bit about that, Rafi? Or
no, but I don't. But yeah, Taiwan is a big exporter of semiconductors. They have a lot of the plants.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've semiconductors and chips are one of the biggest problems from the lockdowns and transport logistics problems.
Yeah.
So it's already caused used car prices to jump like 50% in a year. So yeah. We're on the verge of at least people recognizing hyperinflation, because they'll recognize that the prices of everything are going way up, and yeah, it's just going to get worse for semiconductors.
I filled my tank. 3 days ago, I put it's a big car. I put 100 pounds of diesel in my car. I still had like just less than a quarter of the tank. Put 100 pounds. It didn't even fill it. And then I went today. The price was higher, and I had to put another 40 pounds. But for the first time that I can remember, I've actually have a full tank, because I think unfortunately it could go up even more. The thing about China as well, I think from what I've read, even the FT has reported that China is actually being neutral, which is seen as backing Russia through this crisis. So I could see a lot of wealthy Chinese as well, maybe taking their assets out of the Western banking system, because who knows, China could be next in terms of the SWIFT and sanctions. Any view?
Yeah, my feeling is, and again, my mind is wired for monetary analysis, not for political analysis, but for what my hunch is, that China is waiting to see what the effects of being cut off from SWIFT are for Russia, and if they can handle it before they do anything in Taiwan. But I think if Russia can survive well the initial aftermath, the initial shock of this, then yeah, I think China will go after Taiwan next. But if I had to pick one of the two to be in charge, Putin or Xi Jinping, I'm Putin all the way. I don't want Xi Jinping being in charge of the world. That is legitimately terrifying. To have like a Chinese dictator in charge of everything.
I don't think. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm naive, but I don't really think Putin nor Xi want to be in charge of the world. They just want like to be equal partners with the Americans and the Europeans. And unfortunately, I think in the West, we kind of think we are superior to Russia and China, but I could be wrong. Joker Alpha Mario, when Russia invaded, crypto tanked. This does not speak safe haven for your wealth. I'll let you answer that one, Rafi.
We're talking about crypto.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to. I mean, this year crypto is down about 15%, or Bitcoin, that is.
I don't know. They can say the same thing about gold and silver. Oh, gold and silver should have gone way up when this happened to Russia, and they didn't. It didn't. It went down on Thursday and Friday, and we can trade shots at each other. Truth is, I don't know what's going to happen to crypto. It hasn't. It's not functioning as it should function. But right now, neither is gold and silver. I mean, they are, because they're maintaining their value. But
yeah, they're up slightly this year, and they're up slightly this year. The miners are doing well, but I know what you mean. Bitcoin could go up to 50,000 next week, and we look silly.
Yeah, so like I don't want to bash crypto or anything. I think it's a good thing that it exists. I'm a fan of it. But what I think is dangerous is the maximalists who say put all your money in crypto and there's no future in gold and silver. That's crazy. But since I don't know what's going to happen to crypto, but I do like the idea of a decentralized way to transfer value, assuming that crypto can transfer some value and there is value in it. which I don't know.
Yeah.
So I would advise people have like a few percent of their money in crypto and in their favorite cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
It's probably a good idea, but I wouldn't go beyond that.
The only problem with crypto, and I have exposure to crypto, is that unless you find someone who wants to peer to peer, you want to buy a computer and someone will accept, Bitcoin for it. But it would have to be a used computer because I can't see the Apple store accepting crypto. And you can still, like here in the UK, I can still turn it into fiat and send it to my bank. But yeah, I don't see unless, and you might say the same thing about gold and silver, but gold and silver are right now, I don't think the powers that be want to ban it for you to exchange it to fiat because I think they hold it a lot, but I don't know. I don't know. It has definitely not been. It looks like it's trading with the NASDAQ because the NASDAQ is down about 12% this year, and so is crypto. But I wanted to show the viewers and Rafi why I think, gold, I think it was Arpad from Star Path Academy. He said that, empires, countries, governments, kings and queens, they can go, but gold is a constant. So with what's happening in Russia today, I've got this 10 ruble coin from 1899. So there you go. And we've got Tsar Nicholas. So there you go. I mean, that's the lesson, gold.
Is that a gold coin or a copper coin?
Yeah, gold coin. Yeah. That's
Oh.
about 0.1867 of an ounce. So that's like I think that's the equivalent of 20 gold francs or 20 gold lira. They were all like 0.1867 of an ounce. I think this is like the $5 gold coin, which is a little, maybe a little more, and the sovereign is 0.2354. So yeah, so 123 years later, it's still worth something. And so that, paper, I'm sure they had banknotes back then, but that's probably not worth as much.
Oh, Mario, I can show you something also.
Yeah.
Hold on. It's like on this. Okay, you can go to the next question. I'll show you in a minute.
Yeah.
Oh.
Next question. I'm going to share something here just to show you how important Russia, they don't produce all commodities, like they're not the biggest producers of all commodities, but the fact that they are quite significant producers can really disrupt things. So here we are, market muscle, Russia's exports, share of world total 2020, natural gas, that's the biggie for Europe, wheat, crude oil, aluminum or aluminum, and copper. Just wanted to show you that. So Rafi's got something for us.
So this is also from Tsar Nicholas. From Tsar Nicholas.
Super chat. Oh, Tsar Nicholas. All right, let's see.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was before, but this is I found this in a used bookstore. This is the Book of Exodus from the Bible, 1875. So there's some Russian lettering here. It's from it was made in Warsaw.
Okay.
But there's a prayer for it for the Tsar. Old old Bible here.
All right. Yeah, it was really interesting. There's another story that I heard is that the Tsar Nicholas II, he was one of the richest men in the world, and he kept a lot of his money with the U.S. banks, like the New York and even some Chicago banks. And by money it was gold. And the theory is that they killed the whole family. I think it was in 1917 or 18. They shot them all dead, and so they had no heirs. So, and that was just around the time the Federal Reserve got created. So they kept all that gold. So that kind of makes sense because he had a lot of money off, abroad in the U.S. apparently. In the
They were Habsburgs, right? They were the Habsburg
No,
family.
they were Romanovs.
Romanovs. Wait. Didn't they breed the Habsburgs? They also had hemophilia, I think.
Maybe they're all connected to a lot of these royals. I think he was the cousin of Ed, the King of England as well, and they fought, World War I. So, but the Habsburgs were like the Austro-Hungarian Empire.
So
Uh,
I remember all these leaders had hemophilia because they were inbred.
yeah, that's right. Tsar's gold was a thorny issue for the Windsors in 1918. Yeah. Well, they were called Battenbergs in 19. I think they changed the name from Battenberg to Mountbatten because their name was like German, and then they changed it to Windsor. I think also during World War I because it sounds more English, and there was a lot of animosity towards the Germans. Echo Echo. If I buy 1 ounce silver Britannia and pay VAT, say for 33 pounds, can I sell that coin on eBay and get 33? You might be able to get that on eBay. I get a lot of that question about silver in the UK. One thing I would say, if you feel confident about silver and where it's going, you shouldn't really worry about the VAT. I worried back in 2003 when I bought my first silver, but guess what I paid in 2003 for silver? I paid less than £4 per ounce. So yes, there was 20% VAT on that, but now it's with the price where it is, it's like irrelevant. So you got to think in the long term. But yeah, you'll probably get more on eBay than selling to the dealer. You don't have VAT. Do you have VAT on silver there, Rafi?
Yeah.
Or you do?
Yes.
How much is that?
I think it's 17%. But there's one company in Israel that ships that imports through a lot, where you can get it without VAT, but they sell at higher prices to try to close the spread.
Yeah. Here's something I looked at before I started. List of countries by silver production. So Mexico is the biggest, and then Peru, China, and Russia. So Russia is about 8% of world production, which is significant. And also China. I mean, I know China hasn't been hit with sanctions, but if they're gonna, like you said, if they're gonna see how Russia does being out of SWIFT, I think it's really significant. It could really drain the silver supply from the international markets or Comex. What's your view, Rafi?
Well, Russia's number 4, 2100. It could, but we haven't seen a lot of demand for silver to be taken off the Comex. But we could see that any day. I mean, we could see it tomorrow because I think I looked at the Comex statistics. March silver deliveries began on Friday, and I think there were 8,572, if I remember correctly, contracts that are still open. So there's going to be at least that many deliveries, and the record is like 17,000 or something. So if that silver actually gets taken off the Comex, then the Comex would be in trouble, and then the Russian supply could impact the Comex. But we'll have to see if there's actually physical demand to take metal off the Comex instead of just pass warrants between big banks.
Yeah. Lord Humongous says Rothschilds loves inbred. Well, that's how they kept the money in the family. Like I've read a few books about the Rothschilds, and I think in the 19th century, one of the young Rothschilds, he died, and his wife became a widow, and one of the older guys, he was a widower, so he actually married his who it was his niece. Or I mean, it's screwed up. That's how they but that's how they kept a lot of their money in the family. I don't know if I don't think it happens today though as much.
Well, Rothschilds were Ashkenazi Jews, and all Ashkenazi Jews are pretty much inbred to a degree because, after the Crusades, in the Dark Ages, right before the Renaissance, there were only about 10,000 of us in Europe, and we could only marry each other. So,
Oh, I see.
We have all these. That's why we have these Tay-Sachs problems and stuff like that, and I'm colorblind and whatever. But yeah.
Oh, are you Ashkenazi Jew? Or
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Is that's in? I guess there's also the other Jews are like more the Mediterranean Jews, isn't it? What's it?
There's Ashkenazi and there's Sephardi and there's Taimani, which is Yemenite.
Sephardi. That's like Spanish.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah. Someone's asking, did Rafi get his silver off the Comex? Have you got the warrant? You sold the warrant, did you?
I'm trying. I can't even sell the warrant.
Wow.
I'm trying to sell the warrant now.
Maybe sell it to Putin. I don't think they deliver to him either, would they?
Yeah, I'm trying to sell the warrant, but there's these margin issues, so I've got to call interactive brokers again. Don't deal with interactive brokers. It's not worth it.
Well, don't deal with Comex. Just buy physical silver off the dealers.
Yeah,
I would say. Scott 49140. What advice would you give for people like me who are on minimum wage, can't afford a lot of precious silver? How safe am I? Rafi, you want to answer that?
You can't afford a lot, then buy a little.
Yeah. They are quite. I mean, there are those little. I think they come on a credit card, and you can chop them off like a gram of silver. You can even buy that. Yeah, but it's hard. I mean, it's hard. I understand. Let alone gold as well. But that you can buy a gram of gold. So there are, I think one of the viewers sent me a couple of years ago from Hong Kong, a little 1 gram maple leaf. So you can get a gram.
Well, if your choice is between several grams of silver and a gram of gold, I would go with the silver.
Yeah.
A gram of gold seems like it would be very high premium. And just buy an ounce, 2 ounces, 3 ounces silver a month. And slowly you'll add up.
Yeah. Valcombe bars. Yeah, that's right. JP Millward, Valcombe. I remember those. Here I wanted to show this one as well, just to show how important Russia is to the commodities. Let's have a look here to share this. This is for gold. So there you go. The Russian central bank announced that they're going to be buying gold from tomorrow from the domestic market. So again, China and Russia, they're the biggest producers of gold, 330 tons, 31 tons.
If Russia announced, I didn't mention this, but if Russia announced publicly that it's going to be buying gold, the reason that it would announce it publicly is to push the price of gold higher. Because if they're announcing they're buying gold, they want other central banks to race to do it because they already have a lot. They already have a lot of gold, and they want the value to go up.
Yeah, I agree. I saw some comments saying, "Oh, they wanted to go up to sell it," but why would they sell it for dollars if they can't use it?
I don't think they wanted to go up to sell it. I think they wanted to go up to support the ruble.
I agree with you, but I saw some people on Twitter say that, and I replied. I said, "No, they don't want to raise the price. That's a good point there. I hadn't thought of that. They want other banks to come, other central banks to come in and buy it, and that would be really hurt the dollar, I would say, more than anything.
Yeah, and it would help the ruble. But if you look at trading economics and you look at the Russian ruble supply since 2003 or something, and you look at, or since the time when the Russian central bank started accumulating gold reserves, I think it was 2004, 2005, and you look at the money supply, the gold reserves and the Russian money supply had gone up both 5 times at the same rate. So basically, since 2004, the ruble has de facto been gold backed. They just haven't announced it.
Yeah, and it's weird because the ruble has weakened a lot, but unfortunately, there's the club. The club is the major central banks, and they can do whatever they want to your currency, even though it's gold backed, like you said.
Well, look, if the Russian central bank were to say, look, anyone with however many rubles, I don't know, like 5,000 rubles, can come to the central bank and get an ounce of gold. And
Yeah.
if you want to deposit an ounce of gold with us, we will give you 5,000 rubles. We'll print them up and we'll give them to you, and you give us an ounce of gold. If they do that, then nobody can mess with the ruble.
No, I think the other thing they should do is maybe come out with one of these and say, if you bring any gold that you find, we'll mint it for you and take a seniorage, like a 1%. I think that would be a good thing to do.
That's what a bank is actually supposed to do.
Yeah, that's right. I was thinking, wanted to ask you something. I forgot anyway. Maybe it can't be that important if I forgot it. That's what my wife says always. The other thing, one thing I was thinking about the whole commodities market that there is a danger of happening is we could see commodity prices go through the roof, or even gold and silver. And we could see Comex and all the futures exchanges actually declare force majeure, because that force majeure is like they rescind all contracts and they can use the excuse of war. Any thoughts on that, Rafi?
That could happen. I don't think that's gonna happen tomorrow.
No.
I think before we get to force majeure, we'd have to see like serious runs on the Comex gold and silver supply. If we start seeing the supply actually come down physically, and there's daily reports. So if we start to see that and they get dangerously close to zero, then yeah, they would declare force majeure, but they're not going to just do it immediately tomorrow.
Yeah, the other thing, what I was thinking as well is that last year, for example, Brazil, they almost doubled their gold reserves, and a lot of other countries are buying. I wonder, if they're all in, if there's a plan, and the public don't know. But your point there was pretty good, that other central banks would be forced to buy as well. Yeah. So we still got 15 minutes to go. How about backing their oil and gas production with gold? Well,
What is that?
you mean selling their oil and gas for gold? They could do that as well. They could, because right now I think SWIFT is still going to allow for payments for oil and gas, because I think that's what the Germans asked. But Russia could say, no, we don't want dollars for our gas or oil. We want gold or renminbi. They could do that as well. What do you think?
They could. I mean, how would they transfer gold without the SWIFT system? Because they'd still need
maybe with their crypto ruble, gold backed ruble, they could say
they could do it. They could do a crypto that would be a real like a real benefit of crypto technology.
Yeah, that's what that politician said in January in the Duma, that they could allow. He said they don't like the decentralized crypto, but he said if it's under the control, they would allow miners to mine the cryptos, but it would have to be under control, under regulatory control of the government. So who knows?
Well, why would you even need mining of cryptos if it's gold backed?
Yeah,
I'm not even sure how it would work. I don't know enough about distributed ledger technology to answer that question.
There's an interesting historical fact about Russia, because some people might say, because I'm thinking maybe they could say, you're gonna kick us off SWIFT, most of the SWIFT. They've also basically kicked off the Russian central bank from the international market. So that means that Russia has 400 billion of its assets that are with foreign central banks that they can't touch. So they could say, well, we're going to stop selling oil and gas, even though we can still use SWIFT. And people might say, well, that's crazy. It would really hurt their economy. But did you know that when Napoleon invaded Russia in the Napoleonic Wars, and he was arriving in Moscow, what the Russians did is they burned most of the city down and abandoned it.
Yeah.
And you'd think, well, that's crazy. Well, Napoleon went there and he was really annoyed because he couldn't negotiate with anyone. And then the winter came, and I think then he had to go back to Europe, and most of his forces died because of the harsh winter. So I think the Russians are prepared, stopping selling gas and oil maybe for a year before we really feel the crunch here in Europe and the US.
Look,
It's like a walk in the park compared to what they did with Napoleon.
They could do it. I mean, if you look at the weakness of the European banking system, the European banking system is the sickest banking system in the world. Much sicker, much sicker than the U.S. banking system even. I mean, it's called a scorched earth policy for a reason. It hurts you, but it hurts the enemy even more.
Yeah.
And I don't think Europe even understands how precarious its financial position is. Russia could destroy Europe financially, and it's sad to say it, but that's the truth.
Yeah. And I think Europe and they would, probably have to back down, because if that happened, there would be, the protests we've seen in the last couple of years would be a lot worse. Fanta Naranja, Bix, I guess I assume that's Bix Weir. Bix broke a story today on the March deliveries of Comex silver, only delivering 10%. Normally 90% is delivered on the first day. Any thoughts?
Oh yeah, I noticed that. I don't know what to make of it. So there were 8,572 contracts. I think there were only 990 something deliveries. So yeah, about 10%. I don't really know what that means. It means that if you have a warrant, right, and you own it, and you don't mark it for delivery, it means that the people who own the warrants, who are short the contracts, don't want to deliver it yet, and they're holding it. It means they're holding on to it for as long as they can.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just a quirk or if that means something.
But the thing is, March is the delivery month, so there's still more days to take delivery. I think usually the person who holds the long position demands delivery, isn't it? Like it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not on the. There isn't. I think March is the whole month of March. You can take delivery. So just because they only took 10% in the first day doesn't mean that they won't take deliveries in the next few days.
I'm not sure if there's any significance to it, because the prices are already locked in. Like when the long went long, he locked in the price that he's going to get his silver for, and the short locked it in already. So it's not like they're waiting for a March move to get their silver.
Or maybe it could be that they don't have that much physical, and Comex has said to the other 80%, can you please wait, because we're trying to source it. Maybe it's a sign of tightness, but I don't follow it that closely anyway. We got a question. Magician G. Orson Wall, was a fake Trump Russia scandal later Biden signed? I don't think it's just I'm not going to read that. I'm not going to get into that. Check my playlist. No freedom of speech in Bolshevik Russia. In the East, all our anti-Semites sit in prison. Soviet Jew Vadim Rabinovich. Vatican murdered many of Jesus' apostles. Well, we're getting different subjects here. I was just reading a comment, a question. So, let's see. Danny Dan says there's going to be war. I personally don't think there will be a war, because if there is a war, it will be a nuclear war. And I don't think these guys want to go that far. What's your view on that?
No, I don't think there's going to be a war between the U.S. and Russia. No, I don't think so.
Biden is buying a solid gold walker. What happens to real estate in the currency collapse in debt-based society like US? All homes go back to bank, and then everyone lives on the streets. I guess if you have a mortgage, if you can keep paying off your mortgage through the currency collapse, you should be okay. I think in Weimar, Germany, they revalued the mortgages. I think it actually worked out well for people who had mortgages. I think they cut the debt by like down to 30%. Any views, Rafi, on the real estate through a hyperinflation?
Yeah, well, no, people aren't going to be on the street because the bank doesn't want to own all the houses. They want money. What's a bank going to do with a bunch of empty houses? They're going to have to get rid of them, and they're going to have to get rid of them for cheaper. So the value of real estate is going to go down in terms of gold and silver. You should be able to buy a nice house with a few gold coins, because in a hyperinflationary environment, the primary need is a monetary system. So they need a monetary medium. They'll need gold and silver to maintain the division of labor. So in terms of nominally, in terms of the fiat currency, I don't know what's going to happen. But in terms of gold and silver, the value of real estate is going to go way down.
Randall McMurphy says silver to moon to $27, then a multi-year correction again. What do you have to say about that, Rafi? I think he's being a bit sarcastic.
No, not at all. That's not happening.
No,
it's not going to. No. Silver is going to moon to whatever the 15-to-1 ratio is.
Yeah, I agree as well.
Whatever the 15-to-1 ratio is, where at least I would say a 50% backing of the Federal Reserve's liability is in gold, which is something around $20,000 an ounce.
Yeah, Carlos Garcia, Economist Magazine, 1988. Yeah, I've seen that cover, the world currency. I guess it didn't happen in 2018. So any views on that? you know that cover?
We basically have a world currency already. Why? Because all central banks inflate together to maintain their exchange rates within certain windows. So basically, we have like a multifaceted single world currency, which is the dollar, and which is why when the dollar collapses, all the other fiat will collapse, because they'll have to print at rates to keep their exchange rates, similar to the dollar, which is going to fall very fast against real assets. So they're all set to flush down the toilet together because they're in the same toilet. They've been in the same toilet for years, and they will go down the same drain at the same time.
I agree. They're all sinking. All those. Let's see. You shall see Putin use gold against silly dollars. I think so too. He's already doing it. I think they announced tomorrow they're going to start buying gold domestically. Robert says silver moon is $1,000. Well, who knows? If gold gets to 15,000, $1,000 silver is doable. I mean, silver's was at $50 back in 1980, so, and now it's at 24, so it's heavily undervalued. And I think the move, I think the other commodities, like the more cyclical commodities, that's a little different, but I think they could go up a lot as well. I think I heard something to the effect that you can have two kinds of commodity bull markets. One is when there is like the economy is doing really well, everything's stable, and there's a lot of there's an inflationary pressure. And the other one is based on war and fear, and those can be really, I haven't really seen one of those.
Mm-hmm.
James Hafford, would you stack silver, then wait for it to gain at a faster rate than gold, and then buy gold at around 20-to-1 ratio? Is this a good strategy? What would be a good way to do this?
Yeah.
Rafi, yeah, I think that's a good, the best way to do this is just to, find a reputable dealer and the best deal, because yeah, if let's say gold is at the ratio is at 20-to-1, if you go to the dealer, he'll want to make something on the exchange. So you have to try to find a dealer that will do the swap for you at the best rate. He'll give you the most gold for your silver, but it's a good strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
20-to-1 sounds like a good conservative spot. You don't have to wait for 15-to-1 to do it, but 20-to-1 sounds good too.
Yeah.
You don't have to pick the exact top in markets. It's okay.
Michael White, do you think Trump will step in and negotiate a peace deal? Why Trump? Why Trump?
No, everybody hates him. No, no.
I don't think so. We're covering more the markets and money here. I know that a lot of people expect Trump to come back or whatever, but I think the elections are only in 2024. So, yeah, Silver Task says, all very interesting times, Mario. I agree. We live in may you live in interesting times could be yeah, the old saying.
I miss the boring 90s.
You missed the boring 90s. It wasn't that boring. You had the .com bubble.
Yeah, but that was nothing compared to this.
No, I know. It was kind of boring. I remember interest rates were, 10-year yield was like 6-7%. And now it's like when you talk about it going to 2, people get scared. It's weird, isn't it? We got a minute to go. We'll answer a couple of more questions. Let's see. Bingo Wings, do you know why the silver market has opened early tonight? Are they front running? I didn't know they had opened early. They usually open in an hour's time. I haven't seen it.
They're open now? I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. I think Comex opens at 11 o'clock London, which is 6 p.m. Eastern time in the US. Mm-hmm. Okay. Silver Highwayman says 90s was great. Nightclubbing and raving till 6 a.m. Those were the days. There you go, Rafi. You missed the raving.
I was never quite of a ravey guy.
Me neither. Me neither. Well, I grew up in the 80s were like my when I went to university, and I was in my 20s, I guess, and early 90s as well. York Pa, last question here, and thank you for your super chat. Do you think it is better to hold my gold in a vault in Panama or Singapore? York Pa, I don't know where you are, but I would hold it as close as possible to you. If you're in Panama, that's fine. You keep it in Panama. What's your opinion, Rafi?
Well, if you want to store it outside your country, there's value to holding gold close to you. There's also value in holding gold far away in a country that is not your citizenship. So if this is the latter and you want to hold it far away from you, I'd say the best place right now is Switzerland because nobody invades them.
Yeah, because I think a lot of the very wealthy people have their money there. Okay, Rafi, thank you for joining us. And any final words for the viewers?
It's if you're a stacker and you see a huge drop in gold and silver tomorrow, don't freak out. This is gonna separate the men stackers from the boy stackers. It's gonna get crazy in many directions, and the dust is going to clear, and gold and silver are going to maintain and grow their purchasing power and keep you safe. Just keep that in mind and keep the logic in mind with all the craziness going on. What's going to happen in the end?
To finish off, I think that's really important. They maintain their purchasing power. We have to, yeah, we do look at the price, the fiat price, but in the long term is the purchasing power. All right, everyone. Thank you very much. Make sure you hit the like button. I see that we had over 1,000 viewers concurrently, which is really good. And I wish you all a great rest of the weekend, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Okay, Rafi, let's end stream. Okay.